Welcome to the Gamecast. This is Mark, your host from Picks in Motion, joined by Greg from Bitbox Gaming. It's Greg's new channel, and his new content on there is actually pretty amazing. Go check it out. We're going to talk about it later on in the podcast, but for right now, we're going to talk about Death Stranding and, well, the reviews and just how weird things are going with it. So let's get into that. So Greg, I know we've watched the reviews, and I actually wasn't going to because I wanted pure, like, no spoilers or nothing. But after I seen Rich from Review Tech's thing, and then Digital Foundry did their analysis, I was like, all right, I gotta watch some reviews, and it's a bit crazy what's going on out there.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, IGN giving it a 6.8, and then you look at GameSpot and they're a 9 out of 10, and they both say some similar things, but then it's like you can tell the dude from IGN, he just didn't like it, and I get it. Places or gamers are going to like or not like a game, and that's fine, which is why I don't base a choice of buying a game based on a number. So, but the one review that I'd like to talk about later is Young Yaz. Incredible review, and no rating, by the way, how it should be.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm curious of what your thoughts are on this whole, God knows what's going on.
I think it's being blown out of proportion, to be honest. I don't think it's actually as big a deal as people want to make you think it is, because reviews are opinions, and I think that it's just like part of the current state of what our culture is that's coming to fruition more with game reviews now, like it has everything else. Because we had things like Breath of the Wild, which was praised and lauded as one of the greatest games of all time, but then of course you're gonna have naysayers who are like, it's not that good, it's kind of boring.
And Walking Simulator, which has been said for both games.
Yeah, which is funny because that was derived from like a very linear style of game.
Yeah.
Originally. So it's kind of funny that it's being used on open world games now, but
with
I just don't think it's that big of a deal like people think it is. It's like there's games for certain types of people and there's games that aren't for certain types.
Yeah. Well, with Death Stranding, from the looks of it, it actually is a walking simulator, but more so than any previous game would have been, because you're not just walking, you have to balance the packages and stuff that you're delivering, and if you don't balance properly and you I don't know, trip on a stone, it looks like you fall and damage stuff. So there's a lot going on there, even if you're just walking.
Yeah, and I think that's fine. Honestly, I didn't expect this to be some like huge action game. Like, we got action games. Like, honestly, if Kojima just made like another Call of Duty with a different name and different characters and stuff, that'd be not very exciting.
Yeah.
And I think this is the way to go. Is it going to work for everybody? No, of course not. But that's okay. We have other types of games out there, And I guess the big controversy is just that some of these places are giving the game a high score simply because it's Kojima, even though they don't actually care for the game that much.
Yeah, that's what I've kind of noticed too. Like, they'll list their complaints and then, oh, we give it a 9.8. But if you add up your complaints to your, things that you really like, that ain't a 9.8. It's like,
Well,
what the
here's the
heck?
thing. I don't think this is as big a deal as people are making it out to be, because it's kind of like this. I okay, using Kojima as my example, I like his style of game. So like I'm probably going to like it either way, whether it's like action packed or whether it's like a basically being a delivery boy like this game is, or whatever. It doesn't really matter, because the style that the guy goes with as far as storytelling and visual design and audio design and everything is something I enjoy. So even if the actual gameplay mechanics are a little clunky, I'm probably going to still enjoy it. And for like further reference, sticking with the Kojima theme, Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain was a similar thing. People complained, but still got scores that were pretty high. And the thing is the same deal. Is like a Kojima thing, and you could tell while you were playing. You could feel it while you were playing, and it was fun. It wasn't perfect, but it was really fun. Kind of like with Zelda games, they almost are never actually perfect, despite what people want you to believe. But they have the right elements that make them elevate above other things that might, on paper, seem more perfect.
I think I can agree with that. I will say the graphics, at least from what we've seen from the footage, from the various reviewers, holy moly, man.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know it uses the Decima engine from Horizon Zero Dawn. I, t- it's got to be the best looking visuals to date. As far as large open world games, I mean, they're pushing. I don't know. I don't even really know how to explain how I feel about it. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, but we are at that point in the generation where almost everything is looking really incredible because they're able to use everything that the current hardware has to offer
Yeah.
for the most part.
Now I am curious. What will it look like on a standard PS4?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't expect it to look much different, except maybe a little bit more pop in. Like
Mm-hmm.
um, maybe I don't think there'd be like the textures would be much different, but um, I don't. I see. That's the thing. Other than resolution, I really don't know what else would be different.
Yeah, they might have downgraded textures for that very reason. Because why have 4K textures
Yeah,
if you can't really see everything they have to offer? But I'm more curious to see how this game's going to look on PC, which they just announced is coming next summer.
yeah,
So that should be pretty awesome, since PCs are going to be more likely to hit like 60 frames per second and stuff like that. And obviously, 4K is definitely an option there, and who knows what else? Maybe they'll add ray tracing or something, which would be pretty cool.
yeah. And I kind of think that they'll end up releasing it for PS5 as well, with
Yeah,
all the
maybe.
ray tracing and everything. And if there is DLC, they'd probably include all of that too.
I kind of have a feeling that this is just the starting point for Kojima. I don't know about Death Stranding specifically, but definitely for Kojima's post Konami career, because watching the reviews, I got the impression that while the game is probably going to be a great time for me personally, I think it's also something that was limited by budget and time, where Sony was like, hey, we'll fund this project for you because we know your work and you do good work, but you got to have it out by this time. So do what you can with that amount of time. And I think he did, because I have a feeling that he probably had a much grander plan, because he always does. And I think that the next game is going to be the one to show, well, for one, just how successful Death Stranding really was commercially, and two, how much faith the publishers have in his work. Because they are obviously aren't going to fund something that isn't going to make them a lot of money.
Who's publishing the PC version?
505 Games.
Okay.
So I've seen their name around kind of all over the place, but usually it seems like it's indie titles, but I'm sure they've done some bigger ones too.
I wonder if Sony will be attached to it at all, considering that it's using their engine.
Well, it's interesting because um, they obviously published and probably funded like Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls and Detroit Become Human.
Yep.
But those are all, two of them are on PC already, and one's coming. Then Detroit Become Human is coming to PC shortly. So I think Sony might be opening up a little bit to bringing some of its games to PC. Not by them, like somebody else bringing it to PC for them.
Yeah, but this means that the Decima engine is being ported to Windows.
Well, not really, because as Digital Foundry points out, all these engines and tools, they start in Windows typically, and then they are adjusted to work within the constraints of whatever hardware they're built for.
I see.
So it's like it's kind of like most games already have a sort of PC version anyway. It's just a matter of optimizing for whatever hardware, whether it's PC or console. So I don't think it's going to be as big a deal. I mean, Decima engine would be kind of cool to see. I mean, obviously having like Horizon Zero Dawn or even like Killzone on PC would be awesome, but yeah, we'll see. I think those are a little bit more important to Sony than Death Stranding is.
Well, plus they do have it exclusive for a year, and it is console exclusive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know you had said you were probably going to wait till the PC version comes out.
Yep.
But I bet you there's a lot of people that won't, and then they'll get it again on PC. So
yeah,
there'll be a lot of sales for sure.
Well, I mean, I am in the minority, having just spent nearly $2,000 on my PC. I'm kind of not playing my console as much anymore. Like, it's probably just a phase. I'm sure I'll get back into them more and more as time goes on. But, I'm kind of loving having all this horsepower to play games really, really well, so.
Time will tell. Oh, that's right. You got your new graphics card.
Yep. Yeah, so. Yeah.
So, I want to talk about Young Yaz review a little bit.
Okay, I didn't really watch his, so you'll have to fill me in as we go.
Now, his was about a half hour long.
Okay.
He goes in the game, like there's no spoilers, which is fantastic the way he does it. And he goes through all the nitty gritty details about how you do things in the game, and like the controls. He goes over just basically trying to think of how to say it. You know what? Just if you haven't seen it, you should, because his review is how I think reviewers should do reviews. He doesn't give it a number, but he explains how he really likes this game. However, here's this list of problems that I wish they'd be fixed or something like that. He I guess he played the game for 50 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And the way the guy from IGN was talking to me, it sounded like he maybe played for 10 hours or something and then gave up. I mean, that's kind of the impression I got. I'm sure he played longer than that, but you know,
Mm-hmm.
but Young Yeah is definitely, he just, man, he nailed it right on the head. It was, if you watch just one review, it's like, watch that one, because he gives you the option to make up your own mind. And all the footage that he was allowed to show, you get a good sense of the game. And he does say that like the first 10 hours or so, it's slow going. It's going to take a little bit of time to get there, and eventually it just falls into place, and you just don't want to stop playing.
Yeah, that's how Breath of the Wild was too, though.
Yeah.
Starts off kind of brutally hard when you're still on the Great Plateau, but
Yep, that was hard for me.
and even when you get off of it, it's kind of challenging. But by then you have like a grasp of how everything works, and the different weapons and stuff. So
I
I
kind of
like
think
that
there's some
hook.
similarities to the two games,
Oh yeah,
just from what I'm seeing. I mean, obviously, I haven't played it yet. Uh, that's in 2 days, I think. But
yeah.
I obviously you travel around all over the world, you could say, and the crafting system in Death Stranding, well, in their case, it's like a 3D printer system, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
That can be similar to, well, you know more of Zelda's Breath of the Wild than I do, but like the cooking, where you get to make different dishes and health
Mm-hmm.
potions and stuff. I mean, that's all kind of similar, you know, in the fact that you can wander pretty much anywhere.
Well, what I like about this isn't necessarily specifically to do with the game itself, but kind of, I suppose. But it what I like is that there's a lot more open world games now that are taking the open world aspect more seriously and making the world itself much more memorable and more interesting to explore. Because like it wasn't that long ago when we had open world games that were just kind of dull. There wasn't a lot going on, a lot to see. Um, Discoveries you might make were very small time things, but like with like the likes of Breath of the Wild and Horizon Zero Dawn, and it looks like Death Stranding, it's kind of going in the direction that Shadow of the Colossus started to go way back in the day,
Oh,
but
that's right.
farther, you know.
Yeah. And actually, I would say Death Stranding has a big similarity with Shadow of the Colossus,
Mm-hmm.
because you're going through this vast open world. Now, yes, their enemies, but it seems like they're very few, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And with Shadow Colossus, it was the same kind of, same way. You're big open world, very few enemies.
Yeah, and like the story elements are kind of sprinkled throughout in more subtle ways. And granted, this is a Kojima game, so cutscenes are plentiful.
And some of the
But
reviews I watched, it seemed like they're like, you can skip the cutscenes now, which is
yeah,
cool. But there was one that came up, and then the guy skipped it. Oh, wait, there's another one. Whoop,
yeah,
we can
like
skip
when he
this.
was fast traveling.
Yeah, it's like, oh, there's three cutscenes.
Yeah, I get it. Like that's a Kojima thing. It's kind of I don't know. It's kind of a expected thing with a
Yeah.
Kojima game at this point. Yeah, that's just a Kojima thing.
Okay.
But I do think that Death Stranding in the long run will end up being fondly remembered, not some controversial thing. Like kind of like how Metal Gear Solid 2 was, honestly, where it was really really controversial at the time to have the Raiden swap instead of playing a Solid Snake. And it shocked a lot of people, and a lot of people were not super happy about it. But as time has gone on, it's like kind of a non-issue, and Raiden actually became cool in a few games later and stuff like that. So,
and it's still was certainly considered one of the best games on PS2,
yeah, definitely. So,
and supposedly the best place to play it is on the PS2 as well, which is kind of interesting.
though I didn't play it on the PS2 primarily. Like my first playthrough was actually on the Xbox, and I didn't notice anything that seemed off myself. I'm sure that there are some, like Digital Foundry points out, but I don't know. I didn't mind it on the Xbox at all.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But either way, I don't think that this game is going to be remembered for what's being talked about now. I think, like I said, I think it's just a culture thing. Everybody wants to whine about the stupidest little nitpicky things. It's kind of where we are right now. And it'll pass. I think it is starting to pass. But as long as the internet exists, people are going to nitpick about stupid things that don't actually matter. It's kind of how it goes.
Yeah, it seems how it is all the time.
We're talking about a video game here, people. I understand that maybe you don't like to deliver goods to, NPC characters in video games. I get that. But that means that maybe this isn't for you. There's other games out there, though. Literally hundreds of them.
But if
So,
you think about it, like in Skyrim, for instance, or maybe any of the Elder Scrolls games, you get missions from people, so you got to go here and do this, and then you come back and yep, I did it. And I mean,
it's
sure,
the
you're not
same. Yeah.
necessarily delivering a package, but you're doing from point A to B and then
Yeah.
coming back. So what's the difference other
That's just
than what you're doing?
That's just it. It's the nature of video games. Even if you play something like Fable, you're ultimately, go here, do this, come see me when you're done. And
Yeah,
that's a mission. And yeah, you'll have a boss here and there mixed in. And that's kind of how it works. Um, even I think that this is where games like this and Breath of the Wild and stuff differentiate themselves, where the journey is more important because there's more things to experience. There's more places to discover. Um, more obstacles on the journey itself, not so much the point of the journey. Like you're not. The focus of this game is clearly not the goods themselves that you're carrying across the land. It's the carrying of those goods across the land, if that makes any sense.
yeah, kind of.
It's not, it doesn't really matter that you're delivering goods. It matters that you're getting the goods to where they need to be to.
Yep. And
And,
essentially connecting each other together again, because
mm-hmm,
the United States has been basically broken,
yep.
and you're putting it back together to a degree.
Yeah. And Kojima always has political commentary, and well, this is definitely that. So if you are into Kojima stuff, I'm pretty sure you'll probably like this game. I say that having not played it at all, but
Yeah.
I fully expect to like it. Like I just do, because I know what to expect from him. Phantom Pain was not the Metal Gear I expected Metal Gear Solid 5 to be, but I still had a blast with it until my save got corrupted, but that's not his
Uh,
fault. So it's still one of my favorite games on the PlayStation 4, yet I totally don't think it's the best Metal Gear game, but it's an awesome game. It's kind of like, picking the best and worst Zelda games to me. Like, yeah, there's some that aren't great, but they're still pretty awesome compared to a lot of other games. Yeah, I mean, that even goes for like Zelda 2. Like, it still has some really good qualities compared to other games, even though it might be the worst Zelda, maybe.
mhm.
You know? it's like you're picking the worst of the best when it comes to certain genres and franchises and stuff, and that goes for like movies and music and stuff too.
And there is one thing that I'm trying to figure out how to say it. It's not like he invented what I'm going for here, but it's made it look just amazing how it's multiplayer, but not really.
Yeah,
Where you
like
like
Dark
if you put
Souls.
a if you put a bridge down, it'll be there
Mhm.
for someone else. I think that's actually pretty awesome, especially if I guess it depends how many people per I guess server or instance or whatever is I don't know because like for you if you wait a year and you bought it, I mean I don't know if the PC version will use the same stuff as uh, PS4 or not, but
Mhm.
let's just say it did. All of a sudden, you got a year's worth of players playing and putting stuff everywhere, and I mean, you'd be going through. It'd be like a easy way to complete the game because everything's there for you.
Well, I have a feeling though that they have some safeguards in place to not ruin the experience where these things don't last forever.
Oh,
Because
I did see a comment.
well, they talk about that rain,
Yeah,
how
that's
it
what the comment was saying.
ages things.
Yeah, what is it? Time. I can't remember what they called it, but basically they're saying that okay, so if I build a bridge here and then like for the next month or something, people are able to use it, well, the rain comes and it's going to
Mhm.
erode it, and eventually it'll be gone. So that could be their safeguard, so that people
Yeah,
aren't using the same stuff over and over again. It'll be eventually you have to rebuild it. For the most part.
yep. And I think that works. It's obviously an excuse to have things deteriorate because it applies to your main character's well, the goods he's carrying as well as his equipment. So it's
Yeah,
obviously a way to explain through story the breaking of in-game items, like with the Zelda Breath of the Wild's weapons.
yeah.
The durability. So I don't have a problem with any of that though. I know people do, but to me that's fine. It works.
I just think it's pretty awesome that you're gonna have collaborators to an extent.
Yeah. Yeah, it should be pretty awesome. I'm excited to play it. It is kind of a bummer knowing that if I really want to stick with the PC version, I'm gonna have to wait till next summer. But yeah, I think it'll be worth it in the long run.
You may end up getting it for PS4 eventually, and then playing it on PC as well.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm
maybe.
sure maxed out settings with with your machine is probably going to be pretty amazing looking.
Yeah, hopefully. So, I
So,
think
what about your new channel?
well, it started off as Bitbox, but it turns out that there are actually a lot of Bitbox channels, so I had to modify the name slightly to be Bitbox Gaming. So if you go there, you will find a lot of reviews, retrospectives, and stuff like that. And it's pretty hard focused on those specific things because that's the kind of stuff I like to make. Most of the games initially will be older games because I'm trying to set up things in a cohesive way so that when I reference Metroidvanias, you'll be able to go back and actually see what a Metroid and a Castlevania game actually are. And not, I mean, most people know, but you never know. There's somebody who doesn't.
And as
So
of this podcast recording, you only have
I only
well
have the first.
your intro video for the channel, and then
Yep.
you have Super Mario Brothers, right?
And an FAQ also.
Okay.
So Yeah, I just kind of laid the groundwork, and it's basically a hobby project at this point. So I'm going to try to be as consistent as I can with uploads, but time still got to
Well,
work a real
I know
job. So
time. That's why our podcast kind of dropped down from one every week to once or twice a month.
yep,
Um, having a child, uh, it's tough. Your time is more or less spent with them,
hmm
and at least probably for the next few years, it's that way.
yep,
But I do say I'll say I watched the Mario video, and it's very, very well written. The production value is very high, and I hope your view count can get multiplied here real quick, because with the YouTube algorithm and the fact that the channel's brand new, you know,
yeah,
it's like you automatically have a what would you
mountain to
call it?
climb.
Yeah, a massive one. So
Yeah, but I expect that, having done a lot of YouTube stuff already before. It's kind of all expected.
yeah,
So the thing is too is that I'm making all my content available on Facebook also, trying out their video service, and I'm getting more views there currently than I am on YouTube. I'm sure that'll change eventually, but for now it gets more views on Facebook, which is it's pretty cool.
yeah.
So
I mean, it's probably kind of gives you a little light of hope.
yeah.
People are enjoying it over there. It means that here, that should be the same way. It's just going to take a little bit of a climb.
The big thing with Facebook is that you can interact with your audience like right there. So being able to upload my content right there to people that are already following and liking my page and stuff makes it a lot easier for them to get notified and find it. So
Well, that's yeah.
like
I need
YouTube
to. I need
itself
to.
doesn't really have a social structure in the same way. So
Yeah.
but yeah,
They well, they were working on that.
didn't
you know,
work out too well,
yeah,
but
with Google Plus.
yep. But yeah, I'm going to add to it over time. I have a number of videos ready to edit right now. I'm just kind of trying to keep them lined up so I always have something I can edit, as needed. It's just trying to find time to record commentary when, it's quiet and I don't have a little girl running around making noise and asking, to do everything I'm doing.
Oh, I understand that.
That's hard.
I'm doing that right now. My
Yeah.
daughter's in the other room watching her cartoons.
Yep. That's how it is though.
Hmm.
So for now, it's just a hobby project, but I'm taking it serious, and who knows, maybe it'll turn out to be something more one day.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that both of ours can be that way.
Mm-hmm.
Mine's more of a hobby right now too. I do want to do more of my uh, rivalry videos. I like doing those, but they take so long.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, it's about finding that right workflow.
yeah,
I when I started the concept for my channel, I all I knew was that I wanted to explore, Super Mario Brothers, and at first it was like, okay, so obviously I gotta cover the Nintendo game. Well, turned out that in starting to talk about that, it's like, okay, well, there's a lot more that needs to be explained to lead into that game. Like I couldn't just jump into that, so I had to explain where the Mario character came from, and then I had details along that path that came up regarding his name and his abilities, like the ability to jump
yeah,
and things like that. And it's like, okay, so I got to include some Donkey Kong and some Mario Brothers arcade in here, and then I can talk about Mario. Well, then it was like, well, there are like 2 other re-releases of Mario Brothers. You know, being the All Stars version and then the Game Boy Color Deluxe version.
And there's actually one version that you didn't mention in your video.
What's that?
In Super Mario Brothers 3, if you play 2-player, let's say I'm Mario and you're Luigi, and I, world 1-1 and I beat it, and then I go to world 1-2 and I die, and then it's your turn. You can actually go to world 1-1 where I'm stuck at, because that's my last win. That takes you into Mario Brothers, and then has the POW in the middle. And,
well, yeah, I didn't bring that up though because that's more part of Mario 3.
yeah, but I mean, it is Mario Brothers, and it's just they use that to get like
sort of
the power ups that the other player has. Like you can steal them.
Well, sort of, because that version of Mario Brothers it has a different feel. It's kind of like with the Mario Advance games. They include the versus mode, but it's not actually like that much like the arcade game.
Let's see.
In terms of the way it feels and stuff. You can definitely tell when you watch my video, like Mario Brothers Arcade. I was playing the NES version, but it feels very weird. It doesn't feel like a traditional Mario game. Like the jumping has like a very specific arc to it, and you can't really change your direction when you're jumping and stuff. It's weird. Whereas like with Mario 3 and the Mario Advance games that had the version of that built into them,
well, they use the physics of the game.
Exactly, they feel like that game. So it's like the version of Mario 3 feels like Mario 3. It doesn't feel like Mario Brothers Arcade. So it's not exactly the same. It's faster, feels better. Probably the better versions. Possibly, I'll explore that probably later on in time.
Yeah,
but
well, I definitely hope things work out for you with that. I think the branding is better. The name, I think, is better, to be honest.
It's very hard dealing with the fact that there's so many clones, because I didn't think YouTube allowed channel names to be the same, like word for word the same, but apparently they do. And
I think that kind of sucks, but
it does.
Because I'm sure you did a search and you didn't really see anything.
Yeah, when I first searched, all that came up was a bunch of like beatboxing videos. And usually when I would search for things, when I'd search for channels, the first thing that would come up would be like the channel, like the different channels that might be relevant to my search, and then some videos. So yeah, I should have dug a little deeper and I would have realized that there was channels out there named Bitbox and stuff, but I didn't, and I didn't think that they would allow it. But lo and behold, there is literally a channel that is called Bitbox, and they had it typed the same exact way and everything that I did.
Now, is that a gaming channel or?
I'm not really sure. I didn't check all of them out. There was some, like there was a Bitbox Studio and a Bitbox Games one, some stuff like that. And I think there's even a Bitbox Media and stuff. There's a whole bunch of them, and the one I did not see was Bitbox Gaming, so I modified the name slightly so I didn't have to do a whole new logo and everything. And yeah, now when you type in Bitbox Gaming, it should come up just fine. So
well, let's give that a quick check.
Yep. Now the only caveat is you may have to filter out all the videos and just look for channels, or scroll down a ways. But it does come up now. It took a while for that to happen.
Well, I just typed it in, and yeah, you're on the front page. But let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You're the 10th one down. So
yeah,
and you have 1 subscriber right now, which is me.
yeah. So I'm killing it.
Woo.
But
yeah,
that's why they pay me the big bucks.
Oh, don't we know that? All right.
But yeah.
Well, I think you'll do well there. We'll see. Maybe in a couple months, we'll come back to this particular subject and see where you're at as far as followers. Maybe you'll be past me. That shouldn't be that hard.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
And as far as Death Stranding goes, if you haven't checked out Young Yaz's review, I highly recommend it. I think the way he does it is just fantastic. And also, you could be like us and don't give a crap about the rating. Just, read the review or listen to it and just make up your own damn mind.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm going to buy that game anyways, and if it ends up being where I don't really like it, well, I can, take it back. I can sell it, trade it in. Not that I'd want to trade it in, but there's all kinds of ways to get your money back. So,
Yep.
but at least if you watch several reviews and make up your own mind, you'll know whether or not you want it from the beginning.
So, yep, and I will be buying it on PC for sure.
Yep, and hopefully it'll run really well on the standard PS4 because that's what I'll be using.
Mm-hmm.
But with all that being said, I want to thank everyone for listening and listening to us babble. And we'll talk to you all later. To the next time. Like in 2 months or something. I don't know. All right. Talk to you guys later.